Alfred Naro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to take a call in the third reading of the Social Security Commencement of Benefits Amendment Bill, Mr. Speaker, and I do so because I think one of the things I just want to make a point that it has been made that we know, and we've talked about the date of 1998. So like a previous member of the House that actually went out to Hansard's, I too decided to, we have some interest to look at the Hansards of 1998, and it was on the 14th of May. In which was the Honourable Roger Sowry, who was the Minister of Social Welfare, who put this bill through. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to take a couple of lines to come out of that. And this is what he says, Mr. Speaker. The bill also extends work obligations to some groups of beneficiaries with expectations about their capacity to take up part-time work, Mr. Speaker. So that was the intent of the bill. It was a sense of that there was going to be a welfare change. He also concludes his speech and contribution. In conclusion, the changes to welfare benefits contained in this bill herald a radical change in the direction of welfare in New Zealand. So, Mr. Speaker, that hasn't changed. The intent of that bill, obviously, is the technical aspect of that bill that is of some concern. Mr. Speaker, I just also, to want to make as I was reading through the Hansards with some interest, looking on Facebook and so forth, I actually came up to the Reverend Anne Batten, who's from New Zealand First. And I thought, New Zealand First, I thought Mr. Derek Ball may have some interest there. And this is what she said. One thing I've learned in my time here is just how shallow and simplistic the howls of outrage that emanate from opposition parties that often are whenever the government attempts to make any improvements whatsoever. So I think that there is some precedent there that Mr. Derek Ball is taking, that Reverend Anne Batten, member of New Zealand First, also too was in support of this bill, and that's what she was saying there. So that's just in here in the Hansards, Barbara. So I think that's important. So, Mr. Speaker, you know, one of the things that I think is important that also has been raised, and also too came a lot through some of the 26 speeches in committee stage by the Labour Party, was the need for urgency. And again, how wonderful history is. And I know that Mr. Farfoy is a great historian. He loves reading history, though his white ribbon. Okay, and here's what it says, because the attack from the opposition was around the fact is that here we are in urgency, not going through committee stage. Well, Mr. Speaker, in 2003, there was the Electoral Vacancies Amendment Bill. I know that the Honourable Ruth Dyson will remember this. And the first reading, the Honourable Rick Barker, he said this: I move that the Electoral Vacancies Amendment Bill be now read a first time because of the urgency accorded to this bill. It is the government's intention that the bill be passed through all stages without referral to a select committee. And throughout this afternoon and into the evening, we've heard from the opposition about the fact is that there was no robust process about heading to select committees. But it gets even better, and here's the little Ginsu knives, Mr. Speaker, because here is the next one, 2006. That's right, they may not want to hear this, and this is about from the Honourable Michael Cullen, and this is the Appropriation Parliamentary Expenditure Validation Bill. In other words, that was the pledge card that was there. And Mr. Cullen said, I move that the Appropriation Parliamentary Expenditure Validation Bill be now read for the first time. There was a point of order around the fact is that the national government asked for the bill because there was no bill at that time. The Honourable Dr. Cullen said this: speaking to the board, I say that a copy of this bill was made available to the National Party this morning. Mr. Speaker, there's been lots of criticism about the process. I think that the Honourable Minister, Anne Tolley, has actually been working alongside, as best possible, with Carmel Sepuloni to try and come to some compromise and agreement about the intent of this bill, Mr. Speaker. I want to just finalise my comments by saying, Mr. Speaker, that this bill has been under urgency. We know the importance of the bill for that. 8,500 applications so far for review, on average around $105. So there isn't a point that's there. The SOP by Jan Logie talked about having the ability to advertise this. We know that there's been a promotional campaign by those departments which has already begun a few weeks, encouraging clients to seek reviews about their entitlements. The government has made every step possible. It takes responsibility, and knowing the fact that this is a technical error that it needs to correct, Mr. Speaker, we have ensured that as best possible we can not only meet the needs of the requirements of the vision of this government, but also to the needs of those clients that are in need. Mr. Speaker, I commend this bill in its third reading to the House.